What's up, MK? I got you, Zen. C to the P. We got two in the house. Pass me that. Can I get some? Pass me that.
Yeah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will tell you about the circuit here. First, we must turn on the power supply. Okay. As we can see, there is 4 lines for this circuit. Okay, for the first line, we must connect the wire from the power supply to the switch 1 over here. So from the switch 1, we go to the contactor 1 over here. Then contactor 1 for output, we go to the 0 volt. Okay. Then that is for, so after we push the switch, so the LED is on, turn on. Okay, next is the second line. Okay, for the second line, we use for our input to the contactor 1. So for the contactor 1, so we go to the solenoid Y1 over here. So from the output of solenoid, we go to the 0 volt over here. So when we push the button A, so for the solenoid, the LED is the, so after we press off the button, the light is off. Okay, for the third line, we go to power supply to the switch 2, and from the switch 2 we go to the contactor 2, then from the contactor 2 output we go to the 0 output over here, 0 volt. Okay, after we push the push button C, so with the LED is light. Okay, for the first line, we use from the power input to the contactor 2 over here, this one for normally open. So after that, from power input from the contactor 2, we go to the solenoid 2, Y2 over here. So then from the output of solenoid, we go to the 0 output over here. So when we push the button, the light will light on. Okay. We turn on the air compressor here. So the airflow will go through the air compressor. So the 5 two-way valve over here, this 5 two-way valve, and it is double active cylinder. Okay, this is 5 two-way double solenoid. This double solenoid over here. So after we complete the circuit and we turn into the 5 two-way double solenoid, so we must test it. So this is for S10 and it's for alright. So we repeat it and for the first line, we will connect the power supply to the power supply to the first push button, and then we connect the push button to the relay, and then from relay we connect it to the ground zero over here. So for the second push button, we connect the power supply to the push button, and then we looping it to the relay contactor, and from relay contactor we connect to ground zero. So for the third one is for the solenoid. So first we connect the power supply to the contactor, and from contactor we connect to the solenoid, and from solenoid to the ground zero over here. So the for the next line is for the limit switch. So from the limit switch we connect from the power supply to the limit switch, and then we connect it to the contactor over here, and then from here we connect it to the ground zero. So for the last line is for the solenoid. So we connect from the power supply to the contactor, and then from the contactor over here we connect to the solenoid, and then we connect it to the ground zero over here.
So for the demonstration for task A, we have to push buttons and we use or push buttons. So either we push A or B, the double acting cylinder will extend. Push button, it will extend until it touch the limit switch, and then the limit switch will detect and the double acting cylinder will retract. So when we push another push button, which is this push button, it will extend, and when it touch the limit switch, it will automatically retract. Push button A, push button B.
Selamat tinggal. She says she wanted.
Okay, now we're gonna proceed to task 3, whereby we're gonna use a proximity sensor of an inductive string by maintaining the same component, which is the double acting cylinder and also the 5-way solenoid, double solenoid one. Okay, so for the circuit fixture, firstly we're gonna connect from the power supply. The power supply will be connected from here to the push button A, and then from push button A, from this connection we're going to connect it to the conductor 1. So from the conductor 1 we're going to ground it, and then we're going to ground 0 back to its original. Okay, for line 2, for the line 2, we're going to connect from the conductor 1 back from here, this port, to this solenoid here, and then we form the solenoid. We're going to ground back to 0. This for this line. Okay. For the next line, we're going to connect from a power supply, to the proximity sensor at 24 volt. And then we're going to ground back it to 0. Okay. Next, from the proximity sensor, we're going to connect it to the push button B. Okay. From push button B, we're going to connect it to the contactor 2. So from contactor 2, we're going to ground it back to 0. Okay. For the last line, from the contactor 2, we're going to connect it to the solenoid, and then from the solenoid, we're going to ground it back to 0 volt. So that is how the circuit configuration for the task. Okay, now moving on for the process of how the circuit. So once I press the switch, push button A, so we can see that the cylinder extends. At the same time, we can see the sensor lights up at the inductive sensor, proximity sensor. So it lights up, so indicating that the sensor detects there is an extension. So when it detects, so we can press the push button B. It will retract back to its original position. So again, once I extend, you can see the sensor, and then retract back to its original position. So now in this case, if let's say I put the proximity sensor far away from the position where the extension of the cylinder, so when I press push button A, the cylinder extends like normal. But when I try to press push button B, it does not retract because the sensor does not detect the cylinder movement. So hence we can't see there is a light. There's no LED light here to show that it is being detected. So that's why when you press the push button B, it does not retract. So if you put back to the same position, then you can see it retracts. It has the sensor being detected. So that's all for the task. Thank you.